Today, we're making sauteed baby clams and rice crackers, better known as Hến Xúc Bánh Đa, an amazing appetizer originating from the Hue province of Vietnam. Now to me, this is one of the most quintessential Vietnamese drinking food items, or đồ nhậu. And drinking culture in Vietnam is huge. Drinking is a social activity that's both accepted and encouraged in Vietnam, and you don't really need a reason to get together and have a few drinks with your friends and family, but Vietnam's drinking culture is deeply rooted in its history, social customs, and cultural practices. This Hến Xúc Bánh Đa is my auntie's recipe. She makes it for every family gathering, and it's the best Hến Xúc Bánh Đa that I've ever had. So today, we're gonna recreate it and break it down. Now do me a favor, make sure you like, comment, share, and save this video. All right, y'all, remember to wash your hands. Then the first step is processing our clams. Now for this recipe, I'm gonna be using two different kinds, both frozen baby clams and canned chopped clams. The frozen baby clams will need to soak in room temperature water for 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll drain and rinse these 2 to 3 times to remove any sand or debris. One of the worst things that can happen while you're enjoying this dish is if you bite into a grain of sand. So we want to make sure that our baby clams are nice and clean. When they're all drained, I'll make sure to squeeze out the excess water. I don't want our final product to be wet or moist, so squeeze that out really well. Now for the chopped clams. This isn't a traditional ingredient, but I like the contrasting texture as it'll give our dish a meatier bite. We'll get these drained and then make sure you squeeze out the excess water as well. Then to a mixing bowl, we'll add both our baby clams and our chopped clams. To that, we'll add in about a teaspoon of turmeric powder and paprika. Both of these won't impart much flavor at all and are really used to give our clams a brighter color. Then we'll season our clams with a tablespoon of chicken bouillon, a teaspoon of sugar, half a tablespoon of fish sauce, and about half a teaspoon of white pepper. We'll put a glove on because we don't want the turmeric powder to stain our hands, and we'll give that a really good mix. Now I like seasoning my clams before we saute them to make sure that all of the seasoning is evenly distributed. We'll let these clams vibe out for 10 or 15 minutes while we get everything else prepped. I have a small shallot that I'm gonna finely mince. Then this is Vietnamese coriander, or rau ram, which is my favorite herb. Rau ram has a really unique flavor that's slightly citrusy and a little peppery, but its aromatic fragrance is what really makes this dish for me. I'm just gonna get that rinsed off, and then we'll separate the leaves from the stem. And if you like this recipe and you wanna learn how to make more of your favorite Vietnamese and Asian dishes, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay up to date on all my latest posts. and we'll chiffonade that into ribbons. Half of this will be mixed into the baby clams, and then we'll save a portion of it for the garnish. If you can't find rau ram, Thai basil is an adequate substitution as well. Then the jalapenos are optional, but I really like the slight kick and crunch they give off. So we'll just get these thinly sliced up, and if you don't want any heat, you can also remove the seeds. Once we have all that prepped, we'll quickly make our rice crackers and get everything put together. Now this is banh đa, and it comes in many different variations, but essentially it's just a rice cracker commonly made with sesame seeds. The one I'm using today has black sesame seeds and little shrimp. You can use any kind you want, but I like the flavor and look of these the most. Now in Vietnam, these rice crackers would be cooked right over an open flame to get them to puff up, but for convenience, we'll just throw these in the microwave for about 90 seconds. We'll flip the rice cracker every 30 seconds or so to make sure that they pop evenly and that it doesn't burn. And every microwave's wattage is a little bit different, so just make sure you double check them as you cook. We'll get a couple of these cooked up and then put to the side. Then we'll saute our clams. To a pan on medium-high heat, we'll add a splash of oil, drop in our minced shallots, and then I mince my garlic in bulk in the food processor and store in this jar, so I always have it handy, because peeling and mincing garlic is probably my least favorite kitchen task to do. We'll saute this for just a minute or until fragrant. We'll add in our seasoned clams, and I'm just gonna saute this for about 5 to 6 minutes. I wanna make sure that we cook off any remaining moisture without overcooking it. Now, my aunt's recipe does have a pretty big omission, and you'll notice that there's no minced lemongrass. Pretty much every time I've had Hến Xúc Bánh Đa, it's had lemongrass, so you can definitely add some here if you want, but I really like my aunt's version, so we'll keep it true to hers. When our clams are cooked through, I'm just gonna make any final adjustments to the seasoning, and then I'm gonna remove that from the heat. We'll add in some of our Vietnamese coriander and give that a toss. And then to serve, we'll scoop our clams onto a plate or dish. I'm gonna garnish that with some of our sliced jalapenos and top that off with more rau ram. Some other garnishes that are typically used are fried shallots, crushed peanuts, Thai chilies, or lime wedges. Play around with it and find what you like best. We'll break up some of our rice crackers and serve that with our clams. And that's our Hến Xúc Bánh Đa. As always, the full principal recipe and measurements is on my blog at feedthepudge.com. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.